Hello, once again. Welcome back to another Bosch and Roll Legacy video. And today I'm doing something that I was excited about during the Commander Legends spoiler season, and that is Court of Cunning in a blue deck. So Court of Cunning, blue 1 enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch. At the beginning of your upkeep, any number of players mill 2 cards. If you're the Monarch, each of those players mills 10 cards instead. So when I saw this in the spoiler season, I was pretty excited. Being the Monarch is something that blue decks are interested in. Drawing extra cards is great. And this is a pretty reasonable win condition on its own. Like if you just protect it for a couple turns, you're gonna deck your opponent. So this was a card I was excited about. It has not really materialized in Legacy yet. I don't know if people are just too excited about Hull Breacher or what. But also, being the Monarch is kind of bad against Hull Breacher, being a flash threat that stops you from drawing extra cards. So, gotta watch out for Hull Breacher here. But the the court is something I'm interested in, something I wanted to try, and I think the way to build it is in a deck that can ramp mana. So this is a Noble Hierarch shell, and you need a bunch of flash creatures and removal to maintain your monarchy once you have it. So I have my Icefang Coatls here. Teferi Time Raveler will help control when my opponents can surprise me with threats. Supreme Verdict to mop stuff up. I actually think, now that I'm looking at this, that I should have I have a Path to Exile in the sideboard, but I think that should be in the main deck over one of these Forces of Negation, because I'm more worried about creatures than I am about spells, and especially Hull Breacher. So I'm going to pay a little more respect to that and play another one of these. So the the plan with the deck, you're just a normal Bant style Planeswalker deck, but also bam, Court of Cunning is available. So 4 is definitely the wrong number. I have 4 of them in this list just because I'm testing a new card, and that's my process for testing new cards. I just play 4 of them, so I draw them as often as possible and see how they play. This should probably be like a more normal deck than it is with like 2 courts in it, if you want any at all, but we're here for science. So I'm going to play 4 Court of Cunning, and let's try to go deck some people. All right, we're on the play for round 1, and this is a totally normal functional legacy hand, so I'm going to keep it. Unfortunately, we didn't kick things off with the Noble Hierarch into court like I was hoping for, but I mean, this is not a mulligan. This looks like what a hand in this deck would look like before Court of Cunning was printed. All right, so Tropical Island Ponder. This could be Delver, could be a show and tell deck. All right, the hand is a little awkward right now because using this Brainstorm would mean I have to crack my fetch land. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to want to end step this Brainstorm, which is not what I normally recommend. But my deck has so many 3-drops, and my hand also has so many 3-drops that I think that is right. Because it depends on what they do here. Thoughtseize. So I think I want to Brainstorm in response to this Thoughtseize. All right, so if they are some sort of combo deck, I want to hide the Force of Will on top. And I'll hide the Noble Hierarch as well. And I'll just let them decide which of my 3-drops they want to take, because I'm slamming one onto the stack next turn. maybe, if they want to pass priority back. All right, there you go. So they probably just take days, would be my guess. Yeah, and then, because that's my way to fight back here, but they don't know about the force of will I just buried. So I think Teferi is my most desirable one to have in play. It's also the one I have two of, so if I lose a counter war over it, it's not a huge deal. All right, days. I am not going to fight over this Teferi. They don't know about the force of will, and I want to keep it that way. Like, Teferi just played Stone Rain, so I'll take that for now. Like this could still be a combo deck, like like a Doomsday style deck. I'm just trying to think of what deck has Days and Thoughtseize in it. If it's like a Bug Delver kind of thing, then they have really farted around here and failed to produce a threat. All right, well, I'm not going to force this Thoughtseize. So they're going to get what they want to get here. All right, they were worried about Teferi over Force of Will. That's interesting. So that makes me think they are a more fair deck. All right, so now I can play around Days, and Uro moves me forward in my deck. Yeah, I think I want to Uro. This basic plane's kind of punishing. I'm not threatening Uro right now. I'll feel so much better when I actually know what they're doing. This game has been, it's a big tease. They could still be a combo deck, or they could just cast like Gurmag Angler right now. I would not force a Gurmag Angler. Oh, Duress. This is definitely a combo deck. Fair decks don't play Duress. Alright, let's draw a green source. I would rather produce Uro this turn than anything else. Alright, didn't get there on that one. I'm not going to play this land. I have to bluff something, or else they know the coast is clear. Alright, Lotus Petal, definitely combo deck. Not that I had much doubt left at this point. Uh-oh, am I getting hull breached? Alright, hull breacher doesn't cost 5. Oh, hardcast Force of Will with your Lotus Petal. Weird. What is this deck? Are they like an Arclight Phoenix deck? I feel like it's Doomsday, and they just haven't found a Doomsday yet. Alright, this will let me cast Uro. Blue, blue, green, green. Escape, my child. It gets dazed, but I mean, that's another card out of their hand. Not a big deal. So they don't know about the second Oko. Like, even if they cast Doomsday right now, they'll go to 3 life and die. Alright. Yeah, I'm gonna operate that they're Doomsday and they just bricked really hard. They're definitely a combo deck. Alright, so Flusterstorm, Veil of Summer, Meddling Mage, all easy bring-ins here. Force of Negation. I'm honestly not sure if I want Force of Negation. I can shave really hard on these removal spells. Yeah, I guess I want Force of Negation. And probably Pyroblast. May or may not want Null Rod. We saw Lotus Petal in this deck. If they are Doomsday, they have 1 Lion's Eye Diamond usually. But I think having my Astrolabes active is more important than messing with uh, their mana. Like, they're not reliant on it. It's not like a Storm deck that just really desperately needs that stuff. Alright, I'll cut the last Swords to Plowshares too. 0 removal. Hope I'm right about what they're doing. If they do turn out to be like an Arclight Phoenix deck or something, I'm just fucked. And it's probably right to cut a Court. As much as I am trying to test that card. I already built my deck kind of wrong for Science. I'm not going to play wrong for Science too. I might want some number of Surgical Extractions, but I'm going to play like I don't. Like, I don't even know what exactly for sure what they're doing yet. So I'm just going to not do that. Alright, this hand's fine. So having Daze in this Astrolabe deck is a little awkward, because normally you just play whatever snow basic you have and cast the Astrolabe, but in this case I want to be able to leave up Daze. So I am actually going to have to fetch an island. If I draw a Flusterstorm or Veil of Summer, I'm just not going to play my Astrolabe this turn. That is a thing you're allowed to do. Right, they shuffled their library. Okay, that counts as a 1 mana interactive spell. I'm just going to hold up this Pyroblast. And they shuffled the Ponder, so I feel like it does make sense to beat up on cantrips here. Like, when you're playing against Doomsday, you can either fight over the Doomsday, or you can fight over let Doomsday resolve and fight over the payoffs. Like, I could have held up Coatl this turn to start pressuring them if they just passed the turn again, but that would have involved playing my 2 fetch lands, and then I would have to waste both fetch lands while I am holding this Brainstorm, and I think I can do better than that. Defense grid. Shit. That card sucks. It resolves though. I'm not going to respond to that with anything. That means that my Teferi is going to resolve though. Because they can't bounce it back. Just bounce this defense grid. We'll make them replay it. And then when I untap, I'll have more mana available. Like if they spend this turn replaying defense grid, which is a reasonable play, then when I untap, I'll be able to Pyroblast and pay for grid. Mostly just have to hope I'm not dead right now, which could happen. All right, it didn't happen. We're in luck. All right, there's some juice. I'm gonna put back one of these coatls and I think Pyroblast. So I could just jam the court and see what happens. Or I could hold up these Force of Wills and Negation, which I think is just pretty easily the better play. Because starting next turn, I can start casting my coatls in their end step if they don't do anything. And I'm holding up forces already. They're doing something. It's time to hardcast Street Wraith. All right, they're casting Doomsday. So I could Force of Negation. And I took the line that I took. So I could cast forces, so I'm gonna do that. And they can't force back because I have Teferi. Wop, 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 wop. Yeah, Teferi locks in that you win every counter war. One of the secret insane things about Teferi. I guess it's not really a secret. Everyone knows how messed up Teferi is. All right, so I could go for the court this turn. No, because next turn, like I can play Coatl this turn if they don't do anything, and I can just force them if they do something. And if Coatl finds a land, like if the top two cards in my deck, either one is a land, then I can court and still hold up force, and then I should win pretty easily from there. They kept a card on top. This 5 mana Coatl, worth it. All right, found the land. Now we're in business. All right, blue, colorless. I'm the Monarch. I'm holding Force of Will. I hope they don't play Dryad Arbor. All right. Unpunished. So if they like Duress or Veil of Summer into Doomsday, they can still beat me. But if they just put stuff onto the stack, I'm going to win my counter wars because of Teferi. They've played a lot of lands this game. All right, so they have the Thoughtseize. I'm not going to force it because it's not like I can double spell or anything. It's kind of awkward though because their Doomsday has to win immediately because I get to deck them if they pass the turn. 1, 2, 2 more Doomsdays down. They packed it up. All right, apparently. Or I also got rid of Thassa's Oracle. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what just happened, but that was good enough. Court of Cunning, single trigger wins the game. GG, Doomsday. All right, we're on the draw with a hand that doesn't do anything. Actually, this hand is great against like Oops All Spells or Belcher, but there's no way to know what we're up against at this point. This hand is much better. I'm actually going to send Court to the bottom. Unfortunately, it breaks my heart, but I'm playing 4 of them. I'll draw another. Prismatic Vista. So either a control deck or show and tell are basically the options that play Prismatic Vista. I'm playing my Misty Rainforest instead of my island in case I need to Swords to Plowshare something. Like this is a hand that's going to suffer without Astrolabe because if I cast Plow, then I can't cast Coatl on turn 2 because I don't have a Savannah in the deck. Alright, the shields are starting to go up. I'm going to Coatl in the end step if they don't do anything else I need to react to. So this could still be like Miracles or Show and Tell. If this Vista fetches a forest, I'll be pretty sure they're Show and Tell. Didn't fetch anything. They liked it. They like it all. Alright. That makes me think Show and Tell. But I mean it could also be Bant Miracles. It's all live still. I did not need another Swords to Plowshares. Luckily I have Brainstorm in my hand. I'm not gonna Brainstorm right now. Just in case they're like a Hull Breacher deck of some variety. I guess that's a card I have to respect also. And if I Brainstorm right now, then I lose the ability to hard cast Force of Negation. Alright, they decided to shuffle this time around. So it looks like a Coatl of their own would be my guess. Yep. So this could still be a mirror or show and tell. That's my favorite thing about the blue-green show and tell deck, that they can just pretend to be a control deck for so long. Now I'm pretty sure they're not that though. Alright, I can get rid of at least one of these plows and Volcanic Island. There's no red cards in the main deck. So I don't think I'm going to get Wastelanded out of this deck, though they might have Back to Basics. And I have the Caracas, so I think I should just get... I should get another green source to make sure Uro is set up, so I will just get another drop. Then I'm cool just settling into this staring at each other pattern for a little while. Cunning Wish, oh my god, I've been hoodwinked. They were show and tell with white mana. So they're probably gonna get Veil of Summer here. Yep. So they can show and tell with Veil backup. I can Force of Negation the show and tell, and then Daze or Force, depending on if they have a land drop, the Veil. Or maybe they'll just have nothing. That would be cool. All right, deal. Though now I'm less excited about sitting in this holding pattern. So now I want to get some damage in. The fact that they could have show and telled with Veil backup last turn and didn't is really sus. And even if I lose the counter war, there's a chance, like if they don't have Omniscience, then there's a chance that Caracas just does the job. All right, so I want to get Tundra here. I'll hardcast Force of Negation. I could have pitched to play around their days if they have days, but I'm just hoping that they don't. I'm gonna Daze Veil, not show and tell. Because that one cantrips as well. All right, so let's hope that they only have a monster and not Omniscience. Like if they just put in Emrakul, it won't be the worst. Shit. All right, we're dead. All right, so playing against show and tell, or one blue card short of winning that game. All right, so Force of Negation's coming in, Meddling Mage, Containment Priest, Flusterstorm, Pyroblast. Just piling it up here. Probably want some number of surgical, but not 3. Uro is less exciting. Oh, have to cut my courts again. Hurts me to do. I'm gonna leave in 2. I guess maybe Noble Hierarch becomes the next cut. I'll cut the last of my plows. They might have Shifting Ceratops. That would be lame. All right, I'm gonna leave in 1 plow. And Maybe Daze is not as reliable as I want it to be. Well, I'm upgrading a lot of my counter spells, so I don't need Daze as much as I do in the main deck. I think on the play I want all my hierarchs. I might shave one on the draw. Maybe one less Coatl. Coatl or Daze? Alright, Daze. Daze is out. Everything else is in. I'll keep this. I get to have my turn 1 hierarch. Then I have 2 points of interaction starting on turn 2. I have 1 already. Just to ponder. Yeah, so next turn, because of Hierarch, I can cast Coatl and hold up Pyroblast, or hard to cast Force of Negation. It's all good. I am not attacking. I want my mana. They shuffled off that Ponder, by the way. I'm just gonna go after this. Be like kind of aggressive here. Just shuffling on the Ponder, turn 1, makes me more inclined to beat up on cantrips. Because like we saw last game, if we give them infinite sculpting, they're gonna beat whatever we put up. So I could play a second Hierarch, or I could just Brainstorm. I think Brainstorm's probably better. Ooh. The Court. Alright, I can put away this Garbo. I think I want to jam Court here. Alright, so I'm the Monarch. They can't cast Coatl this turn, so I get to attack. Let's draw a blue card. Alright. Unpunished. Their deck has Emrakul in it, so Court is not a win condition, like the milling them. I'd have to find my Surgical first. But it will be fun. Like, just being the Monarch drawing extra cards against combo decks, pretty important. They did not shuffle this time. They could use Veil of Summer to stop me from milling them. Not that it matters. Yeah, though, the idea of milling something important like Show and Tell, then extracting it is pretty fun. This white mana has me suspicious. I wonder if they're playing Teferi Time Rappler. It seems like the most likely card they'd want white for in their Show and Tell deck. Alright, mill you. Alright, we milled an Uro. You're welcome. All right, we'll love to see Teferi. Nice. I'm gonna bounce Astrolabe to draw a card. Whoa. I tapped in a way that left up red. Did you see me tap the red, then change my mind, and got rewarded for it? Yeah, there goes the Emrakul. But all right, so Eladamri's Call, Teferi, Terminus. All right, yeah, so they are some weirdo hybrid Bant thing. I would like to hit a land drop. Oh, that was a good land drop to hit. All right, so can I Uro safely here? Right now I'm holding up Hardcast Force of Negation, Pyroblast, and Pitch Force of Will. How much of that do I actually need to be holding up, though? So if I green, blue, yeah, if I Uro here, I can still hold up 2 counter spells. And I'm not going to bounce Uro with Caracas, as much fun as that is. I'm also not going to attack with Ice Fang Coatl, because now they're representing their own Coatls. They don't have a lot of green mana, so I'm not even really worried about shifting Ceratops plus haste and trample, because they don't have enough mana to do all that. I'm going to keep milling them. Someday I'll draw my surgical and it'll pay off. Alright, Containment Priest, solid card. Alright, I have Teferi. They couldn't have Coattled me last turn. Whoops. Alright, so I can Uro, or I can Oko, or I can hold up Priest. I guess I can Uro and hold up Priest. Yeah, so attacking's actually free because of Teferi. And I'm going to discard 2 cards to hand size. I'm not even mad about it. Noble Hierarch's an easy one, and I don't think I'm going to need a second Teferi. Yeah, so end step, I'm probably gonna have to Red Blast Uro here. I guess I don't have to, but it's what I'm gonna do. I don't want them drawing extra cards or hitting anything. It's actually kind of funny because now, like, milling them gave them Uro, and then milling them trying to hit Emrakul is like hate for Uro. Maybe I just shouldn't be milling them. I'd believe that. Oh, I have Caracas in play. I don't care about Uro. I lied. Pretty sure I want to Coatl in the end step, and then I'll have Caracas for their Uro next turn and don't have to worry about that very much. I guess now the question is, how much do I respect the race? Like, I think I have to just beat Uro fair and square with Caracas because I would hate to like waste my Pyroblast on Uro just to lose to Show and Tell, because they do have a real actual game-ending combo. And I just have attacking. All right, green, blue. All right, hit my land. Just land drops are just so important right now. Just keep bashing their deck into their graveyard. All right, get Uro out of here. So 3 or 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12, 13, 14. I think I can just win, right? So green, blue, blue, Oko. And elk this Astrolabe. And then green, blue, blue, other Oko. And elk this Astrolabe. Did I count right? All right, yep, 14 exactly. That was fun. It's so many cards in play. All right, Noble Hierarch is less good on the draw. I kind of spent that whole game wishing I drew Surgical Extraction, but also that's so corny. Like, I don't think that's a reason. I think 1 is the right number. All right, I'll bring in another Daze on the draw here. It sets me back mana, but I think that's okay. Though, now that I've seen their whole, like, Teferi Terminus plan, I'm kind of more incentivized to play to the board. All right, I'm just going to leave it the same. That court was really good, though. I mean, the mill plan didn't matter, but drawing an extra card every turn against the combo deck. This hand does not cast my spells, but it does have double force. I'm going to keep this. I have Astrolabes, I have fetch lands and green sources, so I don't think I can ship the double force hand against the show and tell deck. Ideally, we'll just top deck green source, Court of Cunning. That's my plan. In that order. Carpet. Haha, checkmate. If I can fetch basic forest here, I will so fast. Oh, even better. And I can fetch basic forest with that. The nuts. Ponder's fine. Just hoping they didn't defense grid me there, but I think Teferi is their defense grid. I don't think they actually play that card. So now I have the option of, oh, just kidding. I was about to say I have the option of holding up Coatl or playing Hierarch, but drawing a 1-mana interactive spell makes that a pretty easy choice, that I just stick the Hierarch. That's another non-island mana source. I can continue blanking this carpet for a while, and I'm holding up Flusterstorm with Double Force. Then next turn I can play Teferi with Flusterstorm back up, and then I don't care if they have Carpet of Flowers anymore. Is boarding in Carpet against Maverick. Nice. All right, another Hierarch. I think it's Teferi time. Even if this Teferi just ends up being Hymn to Turok, like if they just force it and I can't fluster, then that's also fine. Is this a Coatl? Hardcast Days. It's a Coatl, that's fine. I can just bounce that with Teferi if I want to. Alright, yeah, let's just get that out of here. So I think right now that I have all these forces in my hand and Teferi in play, I think deploying the Hierarch is better than holding up Flusterstorm. Just invest in the future here. Just another non-island mana source to play with. They finally get a trigger off their Carpet of Flowers on turn 4 that they played on turn 1. Uh-oh, there's the Ceratops. Can't counter that one. I believe there's still a Swords of Plowshares in my deck. Yeah, I left one in. So this can kill Teferi, and now we actually have to fight here. Oh wait, it doesn't have trample all the time. You have to pay for trample. So I could chump block here. Pretty sure I don't want to. Yeah, they're deciding if Face or Teferi is more important. They decided Teferi. They're probably right. Another island. Alright, I mean, that is what it is at this point. Can I win this race? Is it even winnable? Guess I gotta start somewhere. Because I have one plow. It's my only answer to a shifting Ceratops. This thing can gain reach if they leave it back on D, but I don't expect that to happen at all. Alright, I can Pyroblast that if I need to remove it. Alright, Carpet of Flowers. I made fun of it for a few turns, but it's actually just going off right now. Protection from blue, real good. This is a blue card. Broken Legacy card, Shifting Ceratops. Now we're just playing the how bad's it gonna get game. Like, do I also have to defend from a show and tell here, or are they just committing to protecting Ceratops? Yeah, I have to take my beats there. I mean, Uro can also defend against Ceratops just by the life gain. So finding Uro would be pretty nice. They top bottom that preordain. Get my other snake in there, draw a fresh card. Looking for Uro and Swords to Plowshares primarily at this point. There may be an argument not to play that land, but I played it. Yuck. They're doing better at being my deck than I am. Yeah, Court is a huge liability at this point because they can easily take the Monarch back with their trample creature. I'm glad I'm not playing 4 of them anymore. If I can answer the Ceratops, I'll actually feel pretty far ahead. But that is a big if. They top bottom preordain. I imagine this Ponder is the card they topped, or their draw for the turn. Like, I think they would have pondered last turn if they had it. Oko doesn't really help. Oko does make a 3/3 green blocker though, which if Oko sticks around for 2 turns, then it actually does help. Oko can also plus to gain 3 life, which is helpful. Attacking with everything, huh? Trying to get this game over. Swords to Plowshares. Alright, Brainstorm is a good start. They'll probably fight over this if they can. Alright, they didn't. I think I'm gonna ship one of these Pyroblasts because I only have 1 red mana anyway. And Surgical Extraction is not what I'm in the market for right now. 8 life points all. Their creature has trample, and mine don't, though. That's the key difference here. So if I take 5 this turn and go to 3, even a double block next turn kills me. So I do need to make something happen, like immediately. All right. We're at a point in the game where that's not the thing I'm going to fight over. Oh, they learned not to attack with their Coatl. Bummer. I was counting on that. All right, well, it's now or never deck. Oko, Uro, Swords to Plowshares. I guess maybe I should just reb this thing right now. This represents some damage, maybe scare them a little. I don't know what they'd be scared of, though. Come on, deck, Swords to Plowshares. And Shifting Ceratops did its job. I have no way to gain life here, and I can't kill them, so GG's. Did not show enough respect. I left in 1 plow. Maybe I'm supposed to leave in 2. That's just such a good sideboard juke. Oh well. On to the next one. What are you going to do? All right, it's game 3, or round 3. We're on the play. This hand is so close to being good, but it's a mulligan as is. All right, this one's better. Let's send this flooded strand to the bottom. Opponent also mulled to 6. That was nice of them. All right, now we're set up. We can force if they're Belcher. That's not Belcher. Ooh, tough call here. Aether Vial is a huge beating, but I think having Uro is more important than pitching it to force here. Yeah, I'm just gonna go to Uro Town early and often here. Perfect. I can answer that with my Uro trigger. I could also answer it with Plow, but why would I when I have this Uro trigger at the ready? This will at least tax the Aether Vial a little bit. Yeah, that's a shame that I couldn't line up one more mana to plow that mom. Really wanted a land drop there. All right, that's kind of interesting. I can Coatl. I can hold up the... I could also just Coatl now and try to hit my land drop. I'm actually going to do that. Yeah, force and negation, never what you want to draw against death and taxes. I'll sideboard that out very quickly. There is one Supreme Verdict in my main deck, and one in my sideboard. That's basically what I'm looking for here. I guess last turn, instead of trying to draw cards, I could have bounced Thalia and played Oko. That might have been a better turn. So if I elk the Aether Vial. Oh god, please don't name 3. Alright, named 1. Alright. Whoa. That's right most of the time. Ugh. Alright, so I think that bouncing Thalia and elking up an Astrolabe is the right play here. Or I could Teferi and bounce Aether Vial. Teferi does not interact with Sword of Fire and Ice in any good way, though. Yeah, I can save the Oko until next turn. And this will lock the Aether Vial under their own prelate. Also draws a card to hit a land drop to cast Noble Hierarch. Alright, lots of good stuff there. And might as well attack because this is not going to be able to block when it comes time to matter. And Noble Hierarch can chump the creature they put the sword on, and I can avoid a sword trigger. Which is probably just should do because they're going to pick off Hierarch with the sword trigger anyway. So yeah, I think that's pretty close to free. Then Oko can Elk Sword next turn. And I'll basically Force of Will anything they cast this turn. Alright, they didn't cast anything. That's unsurprising. I guess they can give this pro green and then just do everything they want. But that lets me, oh wow, making that aggressive line, I'm going to punish that because I'm going to Oko the Sanctum Prelate, like Elk the Prelate, and then plow the Mom. Yeah, so they can go face and pick off Teferi, or they could go at Teferi directly, or they could go face and pick off Noble Hierarch. I think they should pick off Hierarch. Alright, yeah. Alright, they went after Teferi. What are you going to do? Okay, so I have to start with Oko. Oko has to Elk. Oh, that has protection from blue. Never mind. Shit. I forgot Oko's also blue. Gonna Elk the Sword. Alright, yeah, they were pretty safe this turn from everything that I said they did wrong. They actually didn't. They played well. Like, another Coatl. I haven't hit a land drop yet. Ooh, that's dangerous. Another Mother. I think I have to force that. I'm way more worried about that than Thalia. So they can attack with one thing, and I won't block. If they attack with two things, I get to kill one of them. Everything's coming at Oko. All right, so block, block. They'll probably save Prelate, but I don't think it matters because then I can Oko the Prelate and my plow is on. All right, so I can Elk up an Astrolabe, or no, I have to Elk Prelate. God, this is so hard. Death and Taxes sucks. All right, trying a creature was nice. All right, Elk, this. That turns on their Swords to Plowshares also. All right, they're just backing it up to that. I didn't even get to go to court. But yeah, they were dead there. They missed a lot of land drops, which bottlenecked them pretty hard. All right, so True Name Nemesis. Remember this card? This used to be played in Legacy back in the Stone Ages, but here it is. I think I want Containment Priest just as like a flash threat that's a different color and also has mild implications against Aether Vial. So Force of Negation is out. That was pretty bad. I'm on the draw, so I'm not excited about Daze. Having some number of them is fine, but you don't want a million. I could cut one more court or one force. Actually, I think force is better than Daze. Yeah, I'm gonna try this plan of maximum courts. Like maybe I should shave those down and play like two and then cantrip for them and cast them when I'm ready. But I'm really interested in just trying what happens if I'm just always the Monarch, especially against a deck like Death and Taxes. I think I've been the Monarch like once in this league so far, and it's the middle of round 3, so my always the Monarch plan isn't really working out. Yeah, I don't need Meddling Mage. None of the rest of this stuff matters. Yeah, my sideboard is pretty heavily skewed towards combo decks because it should be pretty good against fair decks anyway. Null Rod kind of awkward with the Astrolabes, which are somewhat important, but it'll do more to them than it will to me. This hand's good. I'll keep it. All right, Aether Vial was a stern beating last game. I think I want to force this thing. Oko or Coatl. Like I want Uro a lot. Actually, Uro can go. Changed my mind last second on that one. Like Coatl being my early play and like my only early play. Also, it's my way to hold the board if I become the Monarch. There's a lot to like about Icefang Coatl. On the play, I may have pitched Coatl, but on the draw, the Uro had to take the hit. So I could have played Tundra there to set up a better brainstorm for next turn, but I'm extremely interested in having my basic land set up. Alright, so is this going to be like an untap target land Flicker Wisp or give Thalia Vigilance Flicker Wisp? I need a forest and an island here. Awkward. That's not going to be good. Unless I can find some Swords to Plowshares pretty quick. Uh-oh. Alright, so Tundra and Tropical Island can get out of here. I'll probably pitch the court to Force of Will this turn. I'm at the force basically anything phase of the game. Icewing Quaddle is a nice clean answer to this Flicker Wisp at least. Yeah, that's forcible. Go get another island here. My existence in this game is pretty tenuous already, so I'm really not trying to push non-basic lands. Like they have 2 cards left to my 3, and my 3 are pretty good. So I would hate to just turn on a wasteland and give them any advantage I didn't need to. That's weird. That was a really generous trade. I'm not sure about that. Uh, Alright, Swords of Plowshares is a great draw, but I'm just jamming Oko here. Making a food. Alright, I'm feeling pretty good here. Like I have the Swords to Plowshares and Oko that should be able to plow through this Stoneforge Mystic business. Oh, they went face. That means I can trade instead of having to make a 3/3. Is trading even good though? No, I think I'd rather just have a 3/3 most of the time. I think I want to plow Stoneforge Mystic. I probably should have tapped my forest instead of my island to do that. Oh, I can... I do want to hit my land drop. Alright, that went well. So I could just take their Thalia, but if they draw Caracas, they can get it back. Yeah, I think just making a 3/3 is better. Like, they can't even cast this sword because they have Thalia. And Stoneforge is gone. Yeah, I'll draw another Brainstorm. I'm cool with that. I'm not going to cast the Brainstorm yet. I'm not in a hurry to do that. There's the sword. I'll trade this food for Thalia. I think at this point it's okay to get a non-basic. I'd rather have my cards online than not. Oh, that makes this much easier. Yeah, I'm just gonna bash for 6 and I'll plow Thalia when they go to equip. Shit. That was the draw. Well, I'm glad I didn't trade for Thalia, but them getting to bounce it kind of sucks too. I'd love a Coatl here, or a Swords to Plowshares. That works. All right, so now I have to figure this out. Do I want this Force of Will or not? I think that I do. All right, yeah, so I just put these two back like this. Thalia resolves. I plow Thalia, then I'm holding Force of Will for their next play, and they're in a lot of trouble to my Elks as is. So they go to 9 here. The plow puts them to 11. They're on a 2-turn clock. All right, let's do this. Don't really want that fetch land I'm drawing, but I have Brainstorm if I don't have to force. Does that matter? With power 3 or less, so I could Elk the Batter Skull, and then they just have a 3/3, but then they have a 3/3 that can hold the sword. I'll just force this. And this is tenuous. Like, they're not dead, and they have plenty of cards they could draw that are good. But they are at 2. All right, I guess they decided they can't come back from this, and maybe with Batter Skull gone, they can't. But, yep, squeaky clean, beaten up on Death and Taxes. On the draw for round 4, I'm going to keep this hand. It has double Force and double Astrolabe. We don't know what this hand does yet, but it's not going to die real quick. Finding the land drops, exciting. That was really the only thing this hand was missing. This could be show and tell we're against, could be a control mirror. See if they snap off a counterspell on this thing. Baited. Got him. Yeah, I could have played my land first, but I did that on purpose because it sort of feigns weakness. Like if I can get a counterspell out of an Arkham's Astrolabe, like I'm pretty okay with that. Court. All right, so interesting thing here. I could let Court resolve and use Oko to steal the Monarch. I think I just have to make that play, right? All right, I'm gonna let them have it. and hope they don't have double protection. Yeah, I knew they'd have one. Ah, they had two. Shit. Now we lose. Fuck. All right. I made the greedy play, and I'm gonna lose for it. I mean, there's still Okos in my deck. Not anymore. They milled them. It's like if I find like exactly Coatl or something here. Uro. Does Uro play? So I'm going to 26 cards in my deck this turn, then 16. I Ugh, this is bad. So bad. I guess I could draw my own court and just take the Monarch by force. I'm not even sure if there's a fetchable land in the deck. All right, I'll make sure I can get them before they're gone. Okay, that's a backup plan. I don't think I have another tropical island left. Nope, all regular islands. All right. So I'm going to go to 12 cards in my deck. I think they can deck me even if they answer here. Because every time Uro attacks, yeah, I think I'll just deck out from being the Monarch at this point. A smart person would have conceded a while ago, so they don't get to see my whole deck in my graveyard and know what I'm up to. Alright, this is the last chance, team. If they can answer this Coatl, I lose. Alright, I'm dead. Brutal. Wrecked by my own plan. Okay, so Pyroblast, Veil of Summer. I want True Name Nemesis here. That's going to be a Monarch breaker if I need one. This is a threat with flash, so I'll take it. I don't want Path to Exile. I can go less on these Swords to Plowshares. I want some though, because getting and maintaining the monarchy is going to be basically this whole game. I don't think I want Supreme Verdict here. Days on the play is good. Alright, well, I'm not going to board out of Force of Will if I'm boarding in Force of Negation, so I'm just going to not bring this in. Uro, Plows. Yeah, maybe Days is less good. Need every creature on deck. Except Meddling Mage. Sorry, Meddling Mage. Maybe I play one less court, though being on the play in this court mirror, I feel like I want that more than normal. Alright, I'll cut a Daze. No, I actually think Daze is better than Containment Priest. When I'm on the draw, I'll make that switch. Alright. We have the court multiple force hand this time. I'm pretty excited that we're playing like a pseudo mirror here. Like, I'm glad someone else is working on Court of Cunning. Carpet, shit. That card's really good. I'm not playing any of those. You've seen my list, you know that's true. I'm still not gonna fight over it though. Like, I could have forced it, but I'm saving these forces for this court. Because like we saw last game, court can just win all by itself. Alright, is it? Oh, it's Teferi time. Nope, not in my house. Alright, it is time. Alright, it just resolved. This, they might have their own. Alright, drawing a blue card there was great. Now I have double force up. They're gonna have a million mana because everything I fetched was an island. Oh, do they have white court? If they have white court, they just misclicked. They have blue court. Coatl. Alright, I can plow that. Alright, how does it feel? They probably have like some random Eldrazi or some shit to trump what I'm doing. Jace the Mind Sculptor. Do I even care about that? Alright, this might be a psycho move, but I'm letting Jace resolve. Court just kills faster than Jace does. I also have this Oko that can take a crack at Jace. Alright, that was a pretty good draw, because now I can cast Oko, suit up my Astrolabe, attack Jace, and plow a Coatl if I need to, and I can do that all with force backup. Alright, they're just dead. So despite my me saying that Court of Cunning didn't quite live up to the hype that everyone was excited about. It has certainly dominated this particular blue mirror, which is what I thought it would do. All right, so on the draw, I think I want more forces. I still think I don't want all 3 dazes. Maybe Uro's just got to take a break here. He's kind of a liability, though it is one of the few ways to get out from under an opposing court. All right, I guess on the draw, Containment Priest, like if they have turn 3 court and I have a turn 2 priest, this just gives me a 5th flash threat that they might have to respect on that turn. Yeah, I am interested in that. I think on the draw I should cut one of my own courts. Like maybe I should just focus on stealing the monarchy from them. This hand is not super exciting, but I am going to keep it. It has a brainstorm and a number of interactive options. Like I'll be able to hard cast Daze on their turn 3 court or Teferi or whatever they have without setting myself back. The nuts. So I'm playing around Carpet of Flowers, but I'm denying myself the option to daze something this turn. I just have to hope they don't have any 2-drops I care about. They haven't played any yet this match. All right, continues to not be a problem. Ooh, now I have court with force and daze backup. Squaddle? Ugh. I don't think I dazed the Squaddle. No, I think I want to fight over my Teferi next. Like that's the next axis this game is going to be fought on, and I'll save my court for later. Yeah, with all the 3-drop bangers in these decks, I just can't spend days on Ice Fang Waddle. This is also not a legend, by the way. I may have mentioned that in the deck tech, maybe I didn't, but I can have like 3 of these in play and just mill them for 30. All right, they're thinking really hard about what land they're fetching here. Went for the basic island. Little days, literally whatever this is. Narset's a pretty sweet one in the world where Monarch is king. So I'm gonna force. I'm actually gonna pitch court. I think that's too big of a liability at this stage. And I think if they had another counterspell, they would have used it there. So it's Teferi time. So I jam Teferi, bounce their Coatl. And then even if they jam court on their turn, I have the Oko to take the Monarch. And bouncing Coatl's not ideal because they do get to cantrip off it. But it's not the worst either. Like I have Teferi in play. Coatl, when it doesn't have flash, is a lot worse. They didn't just slam Jace, which I appreciate. Ooh, they had to use a Ponder to shuffle their Brainstorm, and they still missed on a land drop. I wish I still had that court in my hand. Punished for playing Disciplined. All right, I'm totally cool getting Teferi or Oko happening now. All right, so now I'm on board. Yeah, they're just going to concede to that. I got the Haymaker advantage. I hit land drops, they didn't, and now I'm just too far ahead. Maximum 3 drops. All right, we beat the Court mirror. On to the last round. All right, we're on the draw in the final round here, but this is our first turn 2 Court of the league. So I'm going to keep this hand and hope that they're not playing in something that kills on turn 1. Uh-oh, Underground Sea is not a good one for me. This hand is not set up to beat a combo deck at all. Force of Will is my best draw. I would take Daze or Force of Negation, but I want Force of Will. All right. I also have to open myself up to Wasteland because Tropical Island is the only fetchable land with that casts Noble Hierarch off of Flooded Strand. So they could be Death Shadow, they could be Storm, they could be some Grixis control deck, Grixis Delver. All of these things are on the table. Oh, they're definitely Storm. Probably the Epic Storm. Yep. Confirmed. So I need to find myself a force. I did. Cool. So now I can hold up. I can cast Brainstorm and try to protect myself better, or I can just go to court. I think Brainstorming is better. I will be completely honest in that. I think that is just a superior play. But I'm here to jam turn 2 courts, and this is my first chance to do it, so I'm going to get it. We're going to draw Force of Will anyway. Ah! Rewarded for playing sloppily. I'll make sure that Bryant Cook sees this VOD later of me playing suboptimally just for the memes and then drawing exactly the perfect card. All right, Dark Ritual. Lion's Eye Diamond. Veil of Summer. All right, that is getting countered. Good thing we had 2 forces. And I use Force of Will on Veil because if they get like Past in Flames or something, or they're going to get Ad Nauseam in response, and then they're going to lose to that. Boom. Court of Cunning. Turn 2 Court of Cunning wins every time, even against the Epic Storm on the draw. All right, we got away with one there. We did not really deserve that, but we take them. So Flusterstorm, Meddling Mage, Null Rod, Pyroblast all come in. Force of Negation, obviously. All of my plow effects go out. Having Supreme Verdict against the deck that might have to go for goblins is pretty nice, but I don't know if I want to. Like, I really hate losing to like a mid-sized goblin barrage. I also think that Court of Cunning is one of the worst cards in the deck right now. Uro's a clunker. I guess Court is my most reasonable win condition. Like, just sticking Court and protecting it. I think that's a better plan than Uro, honestly. Like, if I'm gonna cut one or the other of these things, I think that it should be Uro. Days on the draw, less good than I'd like. So that looks like inaccurate split. I'm not even sure if surgical extraction is good or necessary against the Epic Storm, but I think if I mill like a Burning Wish and can extract it, that's a reasonable path to victory. All right, this is the deck I'm presenting. I'm also willing to believe that Uro's better than Teferi. This hand has Null Rod, but not much else. I guess that's not true. I have 2 Brainstorms and I'm on the draw. I'm going to keep this. If they turn 1 me, they get me. But this hand is pretty solid against discard because it already sucks. All right, drew a force, just like we drew it up. Never didn't have it. And these Brainstorms can do a lot of work here. Yeah, I'm not going to daze the Brainstorm, as tempting as it is. If I had Flusterstorm, I might cast it here. But I'm not going to set myself back a land drop over it. So I think I'm going to end step Brainstorm here because hitting this land drop and casting Null Rod is just a pretty big deal. This is not how you usually cast Brainstorm in blue decks, but I think it's okay here. So if I shuffle away one of these Okos, that's fine. All right, so I have to get green mana because most of my hand here is green. So I actually think I want a Noble Hierarch here, and I can pass with Flusterstorm Daze Force of Negation up, and then I can play the Null Rod with Flusterstorm protection next turn. This also gets white mana available if I rip Meddling Mage or something. So the fact that they've just like played lands and cantrips is kind of scary. Their hand is probably some large number of fast mana, and they're just figuring out how protected they need to be. We know the answer is that they need like 2.5 things, because the Flusterstorm's hard, the Force is hard. All right, this makes the days basically nothing. All right, I'm gonna let them have this, unfortunately. Hopefully the Null Rod can carry the day. I'm also now more likely to pitch days to Force of Negation. All right. I'm letting them have that because I'm casting Null Red anyway. That's awkward. This gives them another mana, but it also lets me cast Brainstorm. I guess I can Brainstorm before I do anything. That makes some sense. All right, so now I can shuffle away the island and the Flooded Strand. So I can fetch a non-island here, then hold up Flusterstorm with Noble Hierarch. If I get Forest, all right, so they just let that happen. They didn't wish in response. So that means they can either remove it or they're playing for a longer game than that. I think next turn I play Teferi. Oh baby. Well, Flusterstorm just got a lot worse, and Daze is completely blank. Alright, so they get 4 mana here. If they want it. They decline to take it, so alright. That works for me. So I can Teferi or I can Oko here. Teferi makes Veil of Summer a whole lot worse, so I'm gonna Teferi. I'll bounce one of these carpets. Like, they can just play it again. Ooh, that's interesting. I could play Meddling Mage and name Carpet of Flowers. I wonder if holding up Flusterstorm is better. Yeah, I think I'll hold the Meddling Mage until next turn. They didn't do anything last turn, though. Like, if I just Meddling Mage name Veil of Summer, then I can hold onto this Force of Negation, and they don't really have other ways to interact. But that's not really what I want to do. All right, I'll pass holding up my counters. As many counters as possible. I'll play Meddling Mage on Burning Wish next turn. It would have been funny to name Carpet of Flowers and just strand that thing in their hand, but I don't think that's actually good. All right, they're declining to make mana again, so they must still not have it. All right, so now I think I can play Oko and Meddling Mage while holding up Force and Fluster. Yeah, that sounds fine. Okay, so white. I can fetch a basic plains here. All right, so blue, white. I'm gonna name Burning Wish. And then I guess I also commit Oko here. And I'll just make a food. I'm not gonna elk my null rod, obviously. All right, so if they combo me next turn, there's a reasonable chance that they can get through. Like if they just make 4 mana off these carpets, cast Veil of Summer, and then I have to force the Veil, there's a pretty good chance that they'll just get through it. No, they didn't make mana again. That's so weird. What is their hand? I hope it's just 4 Burning Wishes. Or it's just like 3 artifacts and 2 Burning Wishes. That's my dream. All right, now we're doing it. All right, you're an elk. Now we have actual double force up and Flusterstorm. Like I can hardcast Force of Will and Flusterstorm and still pitch Daze to Force of Negation. I'm feeling good, feeling okay. All right, yeah, they packed it up. 4-1 with the Court of Cunning science deck. I like this deck. It plays a lot like decks that I like that the Bant Mentor, Jeskai Mentor. It's just like super heavy on 3 drops and interaction and cantrips. Like, if you're familiar with my channel or my tournament results at all, you know I like this sort of deck. And Court was pretty sweet. It we lost to it. We lost to our opponent casting it once, just like stone dead, and then we won a number of games with it. So it's definitely I think it's doing everything I said it would when I called it in spoiler season. I don't think it's broken. I don't think it's unfair. I think it is kind of a liability. Like I did cut them a number of times in creature matchups, but this is really good. Like turn two Court of Cunning, like becoming the Monarch on turn two is a serious business. Um, I I wonder if there's a better way to build this deck that includes like a Green Sun Zenith package, like maybe make it a bug deck instead of Bant. There and like have Leovold in it. Like I don't know. There's probably lots of other sweet shells you could build this deck around, and I am excited to play around with all of them. But I'm not going to do that today. That's the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.